everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Woods Collab podcast. This is
Nikisha Woods.
And I'm Mike Woods, and we are the Woods Collab. And of course, we are here to help you, help us all be better, be our best selves. So, of course, before we get going, we ask that you please like, subscribe, and share the Woods Collab podcast with your personal and professional network. So today, here we are. Today, we're here to talk about purpose.
Ooh, that's a loaded one.
That's a loaded one. We're here to talk about purpose. Keisha and I are firm believers that everyone has a purpose. Everyone listening to this podcast has a purpose. Everyone you see, everyone you come across have a purpose as well. So what we're going to do today, for a few minutes, we're going to talk about purpose. What is purpose? How we can go about finding our purpose and all those good things so that we can ultimately tap into our purpose.
Yes.
So Keisha, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, and so a little bit of a disclaimer here. It is a part of evolution, right? There's an evolution of a purpose, who you are, how you show up in different spaces. And so you may not watch the full, series
Right.
of the Woods Collab podcast and the purpose editions and really walk away with what that purpose is, but really start to think in terms of, why am I here? What was I created for? And all those things. So our hope is that you will find your purpose through this, but if not, we want you to continue doing the work. So definitely want to get things started. So when it comes to purpose, we started to play around with a few definitions of how purpose is defined, and where we landed as far as where our conversation is going today is it's the reason something is created. So that's something being you. What is the reason that you were created? What is the reason that you were put on this earth? And that is how it's defined as a noun, but as it's defined as a verb, it is really setting a goal. So what is something purpose for? What is the intent behind it? You talk about intentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You talk about your intent a lot. So what is the intent that you have when you are showing up in different places and spaces? And so that really is how we are defining purpose. So I have a question for you, Mike. So why do you think it matters to have that purpose or to understand what your purpose is in life?
Yeah, it's a great question. So that's key because it provides a sense of value.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at it. It provides a sense of value. So if I identify my purpose as X, and I know that my purpose is X, and when I'm doing X, I automatically know right then and there that, okay, this is something of value. So whatever I'm bringing to the table pertaining to these things, there's value that comes with it, regardless of how it may look. And it gives a sense of fulfillment. When you're really tapping into purpose, or as you mentioned, the reason you were created, the reason you were brought to the table for something, it gives that sense of fulfillment, knowing that I'm contributing in the way that I need to contribute. So I think that's why it matters. What do you think?
Yeah, for me, it helps me to get out of a space of feeling hopeless. Because of that value that I'm bringing, because I feel fulfilled. And so I've been in situations where I've floated from thing to thing to thing and really didn't have passion behind it. I didn't really understand why I was in that situation. And it started to really weigh me down because it was like, well, I don't know what my next step looks like. And if you watch the podcast, you know that I'm a planner. So I can't plan for what's to come because I don't even know how I got here. And it's been in situations with jobs that I really didn't like, relationships that I really didn't understand why I was in. And then it was just kind of like, what is the purpose of me being in this? And so once I started to really unpack and understand what purpose looks like for me, then I was able to feel that fulfillment, be able to bring that value that you were just talking about. So so that's the only thing I would add to that. It's just really, we talk about mindset a lot, but it really helps your mindset when you can focus your thought, your goals, your intentions on the thing that really is the thing that's driving you, and focuses you on your purpose. So yeah.
Yeah, and it could also help to center things. So just like the different dynamics that you discussed, because of course, and we'll talk about this more. We get busy, we get active, we start doing different things, and then it's good to go back to it as a moment of reflection and say, well, what is my purpose in this space? Or do I have purpose in this space? And you find out, okay, there's no purpose in this space. It may be more convenient for you to make a decision to say, okay, I'm going to move out of this space. Or if you're analyzing a situation, you say, okay, I have purpose in this space, and that could be extra drive and motivation. We talked about motivation last week. That could be the motivation to proceed in that space.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like for me, my purpose, and I'll share definitely over this series what my purpose is, or what I feel my purpose is. It's that thing that you're drawn to. It finds you, right? It's the thing where no matter if you are at a barbecue, a cookout, whatever you call it, you are the person who is tapped on to do a particular thing, that is moved into a particular environment, that people notice this thing in you because it's probably that natural ability, natural skill set that you have, and it shows up even when you don't even realize it's showing up. And so it's not only that passion, but it's that skill set, and we'll dig more into that, of course, on this series. But definitely it finds you. Your purpose finds you even when you don't even realize it, and so it shows up. So my question on the flip side of this conversation so far to you, Mike, like, what gets in the way of people finding their purpose, or people really tapping into, well, why do I need to even have one or know what it is?
So as we were thinking about this topic, I did have some reflection, because like we talked about, we get so busy, we get so wrapped up in things, and we're going about our business, we're going about our day to day. And I think that's one of the things that may get in the way, is because we may not be thinking about it. You may have, you have your career, your profession, you may have some educational pursuits, you may have relationships, friends, family, bills to take care of, expenses, people relying on you, all these things. You may not be thinking about purpose, thinking about just going about your business, saying, okay, say for instance, for a job, maybe going to a job and say, all right, I'm going to the job. My job is to do this.
Yeah.
If I do the thing, I get paid for doing the thing. After I leave from doing the thing, I'm off doing something else. So in that job itself, you may not be thinking about purpose. You may just thinking about, what do I need to do in order to take care of the bills? Yeah. That's one thing. So Survival. Yeah. Survival. So that's one of the things that get in the way, because maybe we haven't taken advantage of the opportunity to reflect on the meaning of purpose and the value that it could offer you. Because as I was thinking about it as well, it was really cool, because I started thinking about some different positions and different business endeavors that I pursue and that sort of thing. And then in that moment, there's times where I said, all right, well, what do I like to do? Yeah. And then as you're thinking about what do you like to do and what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to not accept, you have a list, pros and cons on each side. And then when you look at those pros and cons, the end result ultimately ties into purpose. Yeah. Now, there could be some things monetarily, benefits, things of that nature that you consider. But a lot of it is like, okay, I'm not willing to accept this, or I'm willing to accept this because of what my purpose is. Yeah. Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, I think a lot of times people do think of purpose equals job. And to me, it was something I had to learn, that purpose doesn't necessarily equal job. It could be how you do your job. It could be, what are you drawn to with your job? It could be on your job, what do people know you for, right? And so it's those elements that are bigger picture than what is the job I do today? Because once you become our age, you've had a few. You've had a few jobs, right? We've both been working since we were about 14 or 15. And so I can't say that first job I had when I was 14 was my purpose. But when I reflect on what drew me to that job and what I liked about it, then that's where I could see some of the pieces and elements of my purpose existing. Right. And a lot of times too, outside of your actual job, you'll probably see that you're known for it, or you are volunteering for things that you are really passionate about, excited about. And then you can start to connect the dots with how you show up, not necessarily what you do when you show up at your work, because we got to survive, we got to pay the bills. Right. But what is the thing that I am doing, and what is my approach? What makes me unique? What makes me the go-to for this particular project? Is it that I'm really known for being super creative and bringing people together and presenting information in a way that makes it so that people can really understand it? Well, maybe you have a purpose for teaching,
right? And so that was one of the things that I learned about myself as I started to dig into my purpose, that I had a teaching purpose and a helping purpose. So not really being caught up in the nitty gritty thing that you do, but how you do it and how you're showing up. I think people get lost in, it's the job that I have. And if the job that I have doesn't look like what I feel like I should be doing, then they feel purposeless and hopeless. Like
yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point, because one of the things that I've taken with me in any professional setting or business endeavors is curiosity and asking a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. That's something I really take pride in, because you have to ask, right questions in order to get the right answers. And there may be some positions out there where you have to ask a bunch of questions, mm-hmm. but a lot of times there's not. Mm-hmm. But so what I've been able to do is and even though I'm not a question asker as my title, I can take asking questions and being curious to anything that I pursue. So then, because I'm going to find value in that, it's like, hey, this person could be known as the one to ask questions. Or even in any corporate setting, I like to have fun. Mm-hmm. I like to have fun. I like to bring energy. And those are, some of the purposes for me, is to bring energy. Now, there's a way and there's tact to go about it. There's times you got to be very professional. There's times where you can be a little bit more casual. But as far as bringing energy, pushing that energy, helping to motivate, push, and encourage people, mm-hmm. I can bring that to any business partnership or any relationship. And that's a part of purpose as well.
Interesting that you said to motivate people and to help build up people and inspire people. And it sounds like what you do with the Woods Collab.
It all ties back. It all ties back to purpose.
It all ties back to purpose,
back to
right?
Purpose, exactly.
Yep. And so you're able to do that reflection and see how you show up in the workspace when it comes to that job, that thing that may pay the bills. But then you also think about how it shows up outside of work, because this isn't the only way that shows up for you, right? Exactly. It shows up for you in how you spend time with your family. It shows up with you with how you spend time with your friends, how you stay connected to your friends, how you are a voice of sometimes reason with your friends and inspiration.
Sometimes reason.
So it's just who you are. And so I think that's the thing that gets in the way of it, because I think that, and I said this in another podcast, is that we put pressure on people at a very young age to say, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like, I'm 7.
Yeah.
I don't know. And honestly, I didn't start to unpack my purpose until I was in my late 30s. And that was because I was so focused on, if I do this job with this title at this time, then I'm fulfilled. Right. And it wasn't even that, because once things started to evolve and things started to change with that job and that title, then I didn't feel fulfilled. But what kept me true to who I was the things like helping people, mm-hmm. And so forth. And so even how we met. So for those of you who don't know us, I met Mike for the very first time. The very first day I met Mike, we were at Wayne State University. And
shout out to Wayne State, everybody from Wayne State out there.
And he mentioned that he was in the school of social work. Okay, and if you think about your purpose and helping people, getting people motivated, social work, okay, yes, purpose. So he told me that, and so my first thought was, not how you doing, sexy. It wasn't that. It was, okay, my mom works here dealing with social work, and so I'm going to give you her number so that you can get a job. So my purpose is helping people, and it's the thing that just holds true to me. When I went to work in human services, it was helping people. When I started to become a trainer and working and mentoring and coaching and so forth, it was all about helping people. And so it was showing up for me in college when I met this guy. And your purpose was showing up with how you declared your major, but we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about a 9-to-5 job and a box that we're checking to get a paycheck, and not really who we are to understand why were we created here on this earth.
Right. And then, because like you mentioned, then what if that time years ago you would have been able to identify what the purpose is? Yeah. Now, life goes on, and mm-hmm. everybody doesn't figure it out just like that. It still takes me time to say, hey, what's my purpose here? We still all do it. But imagine if you would have had that and you start thinking about it then. Maybe you could have, made a left here mm-hmm. down the line. Maybe you could have made a right sooner than later. Either or if anything, you would have maybe had that much more clarity behind it. So just like you mentioned too, as your passion to plan as well, a lot of times you didn't go into business endeavors or opportunities and say, hey, I want to do something with planning, but you able to take those opportunities and plan in the midst of it. And now any position, anything that you're going after, you're doing some type of planning, and that's a part of what you're using in order to progress in your career.
Yeah. So using your skills to push your purpose, using your skills to fuel your purpose.
Right.
Gosh.
But it's very important to spend time to think about it. There's value with it. There's value with it.
Sure.
So even for me, I kind of mentioned where I may get away from it because I'm going about what I'm doing, but it's good to take a step back and recenter. Say, okay, well, what's my purpose here? And then when you're thinking about that, you're like, okay, what would I accept? What am I not willing to accept? What falls in line with it? What doesn't fall in line with it? And hopefully that'll help to clear that path as you go out and pursue that purpose.
Woo! This was good. And this is just the start of our purpose series. So what we're going to ask you to do, we have some homework for you. So we want you to start thinking about what were you created for? Okay. It's not necessarily to be a mail carrier, but there could be something that is involved in you delivering mail to people, bringing them that good news that's a part of your purpose. And so we really want you to think big picture when it comes to this, so you can start to reflect and unpack how you've been showing up, what are you known for, and how does your purpose knock on your door from time to time. It might be something that you do at a job. It might be something that you do as soon as you get off and you can't wait to do it. But we really want you to think about what are you created for. And it's probably something that you're known for, right? And so it doesn't have to be this big secret. It could be something that you ask the people that you love and the people that are around you. Like, what am I really known for? What am I good for? When you think of me, what do you think about? And then you can start to reflect that way and connect those dots. And then the next time we meet, we're going to talk about some actionable items that you can do so that you can start to unpack your purpose a little bit further. But we want you to bring that with you to the conversation. All right, so that's our time today. So we are going to ask that you like, comment, and subscribe to the Woods Collab. And check us out next time for part 2 of Purpose. Thank you.
This is the Woods Collab. Peace.